Hello friends. 2 years ago in 2024, I did a video on plants that are widely considered to be rabbit resistant. I did all my research, did everything that I knew to do, and gave you the information. Well, y'all, as you probably know, since then, the Lord has blessed me with the opportunity to put that list to the test rather. And so today I am going to walk the garden with you, and I am going to share with you what the rabbits have absolutely devoured and what they have strolled right on past, because you know what? Gardening, it keeps us on our toes. So I have compiled this list because I was actually here in the cottage garden working the other day, and it was very clear as to what perennials the rabbits thought were just an absolute delicious salad bar and which ones they could care less about. And I was like, you know what? This is some great information to share with my people, because if I can prevent a little heartache for you in the garden, then you know what? The research is worth it. So yes, we have developed this rabbit problem, specifically like at the house, the gardens around the house. Case in point, Jerry and I were sitting on the front porch this morning drinking coffee, and he goes, oh my gosh, there's a rabbit. The rabbit jumped up on the front porch with us. The most brazen thing you ever did see, and didn't have my phone with me, and off she went. So there you go. So what we're going to do is we are first going to start with the plants that the rabbits find absolutely irresistible. The struggle is real, my friends. If you were to walk my garden, you're going to see these wire cloches throughout the gardens, because I am doing my best to keep these rabbits away. Here we have Echinacea. This is the one that the rabbits just absolutely love. This is a brand new introduction for next year from our friends at Walter's Gardens. And I've got 4 plants here, and you can see that I've done my best to protect them. And they are getting ready to flower. I might have to actually come in here and snip off some flowers because I want nice strong root growth. But y'all, they have devoured these plants. They ate them to the nubs. I mean, we had a little bit of green right there. So I grabbed my cloches and covered them up because they just found them absolutely irresistible. And so the funny thing is too with these rabbits is, I don't know if they have refined taste or what it is, but they ate those Echinacea absolutely down to the ground, like I said, in little nubs. And then we come over here to the cottage garden, and I have got Echinaceas that are blooming. So I don't know what the deal is, but they certainly did love to have the tastiness of that new Echinacea. So Echinacea, for the most part, especially the new tender growth, they found very irresistible. Also, you come to the cottage garden and you will see that we have got other plants. Let's see, right here. Okay, I'm even trying to remember what this plant is, my friends, because look at that. Absolute stalks. I believe this is a Heliopsis. I believe it is. It's really hard for me to tell at this point because they come along and they just snip off the tops. Then they just are stripping the absolute leaves off of these guys. And so, like I said, I think that was a Heliopsis. I'm not quite sure. So there's been so much destruction that it's really hard to tell. So we've got Echinacea, Heliopsis, and then we have Helianthus. Y'all, this is right here this is bit of honey, and let me just pull up the cloche so that you can see this. This poor plant has been through it so many times. There was actually 2 of the bit of honey right here. So we have this plant, and then I have like a little baby plant right here. It's a miracle that the larger plant is even still alive, because I had it, it was growing big and it was beautiful, and then the next morning it was practically gone. So I put the cloche over it. It grows nice and big and beautiful, getting ready to bloom, and I think, okay, it's got nice, you know, tough foliage to it. I take it off, boom, they come back and they just keep going over and over again. Poor this poor thing. So Heliopsis, Helianthus, and Echinacea are just taking an absolute beating. The Cloches, if you have a problem with rabbits too, that's about the only thing that I have found that really protects the plants. Because I am just not a spray girl. I just can't get my life together, let's just be honest, to come out here and do regular spraying or putting down applications. It just doesn't work. So I'm trying to put the Cloches out, and that does obviously a nice physical barrier, then that works. Now, from the list that I had in 2024, there was a plant on there that it was considered to be rabbit resistant. Now, I will say, this is a caveat. You've heard me say this many times. There are no such things as rabbit proof, deer proof plants, whatever kind of proof you want to put on it. If an animal is starving, it will eat anything. So there are plants that are considered more resistant than others. One of those on the list in 2024 was Kniphofia, right? A red hot poker. It's, again, interesting. The same red hot poker that I have in the gardens, they're eating some and they're leaving some alone. So this guy right here, look at that. This was Rocket Jr. And y'all, I did not trim Rocket Jr. Rocket Jr. has been pruned by the rabbits. You can see where it has been snipped off. This is probably about 3 to 4 inches tall. Now this Kniphofia is not supposed to be massive. It is a petite one anyway, but you can see, I mean, just chopped off at the top. Good grief. And now we got to go up to the chicken coop because they're having a field day up there. Here up at the chicken coop, y'all, I tell you. Okay, so the Echinacea. This is just the great classic Magnus Echinacea. So you can see, right, we're kind of at the end of the bloom cycle on this guy. But look over here. What do we see? Well, we see a stem that had 3 flowers on it and it chewed. Yep, they're just coming in and they are literally like chewing off the flowers. I mean, it is ridiculous. It is awful. I mean, they're coming in and chewing. I guess they're getting up on their little hind legs and just coming in here and just stripping all of the leaves, cutting off the flowers, driving me absolutely nuts. Again, more Cloches because we had verbena. They were going after verbena. They were going after a gomphrena. Oh, lousy bee. They love the gomphrena in the cottage garden. I had just given up on the truffle of pink because they were just annihilating it over and over again. And then when we come over here, we'll see if the destruction continues over here. They are just, yep, Echinacea over here. This is my sombrero yellow. Okay, well, there's some big old giant weeds right here. I keep it real with you, my friends. Messes and successes around here. So forgive the weeds. I'll give them a quick little yank right here. But this is my, this is like the Adobe orange. Oh gosh, that one's in there. This is the Adobe orange. Look at all this. Absolute, complete destruction in there. And yeah, so this is one too that they just have the most fun. When we have blooms and things, they just come in and just chop them off, cut them up halfway, and then leave them down. Aggravating little cusses. So now that we've covered some of the destruction that the rabbits have done in the garden, let's focus on the plants that they have consistently just hopped right on past and have left alone. I will say that a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of these perennials have some type of fragrance to them when you crush them. They either have a fragrance or they emit some type of sap that the rabbits are leaving alone. So here we go. So first and foremost, well, not first and foremost, I'll just say I got two of them right here beside each other so we can talk about those. We've got Nepeta and we have Monarda. So interestingly enough, right, so the Kniphofia that I showed you is right here. The little itty bitty thing, that little green thing, that's the Kniphofia. And then we have got a Nepeta right here. You can see they have left it alone, and then they have left the Monarda alone. Both of these, when you crush them, they're like in the mint family, and they have the sweetest little minty herbaceous smell to them. That Monarda, delicious. And so they are leaving those alone. If you see any kind of like cutback, that would be because I came in here and like deadheaded the things. But that's a perfect example. And then the daylilies, so interesting. So the daylilies, they are leaving those alone as well. So you have that Kniphofia right there in the middle, surrounded by these perennials that they are hopping right on by and are leaving those alone. My grass, so my perennial grass, this is Cheyenne Sky, have left that alone. No nibbles on that, as my lavender, right? So of course, obviously lavender, we know it because of the fragrance. We absolutely love that. So leaving that one alone. And then as you can see coming through, I had a Echinacea right here, had to put the cage on it, got a lavender right beside of it along with a Nepeta down there at the bottom. Have completely hopped on past that, left it alone, not touching those as well. Some more that they have hopped right on past, the Carex, right? So whether it is my feather falls or this is the Everillo Carex, they have left that alone, totally have not touched that at all. I planted some new Penstemon when I was in here the same time that I planted the Echinacea, and they have completely left it alone. In fact, I have a Penstemon right behind this Echinacea, and while it is not underneath the covering, again, not touching that at all. So that is a great information to have. And then, you know me, how much I love my Ascot Rainbow, not touching that one as well. The Ascot Rainbow, while it is not fragrant, it will emit kind of that milky sap when you cut it. Also, as a little side note, Flopsy, she was right here on the porch. So I don't know if you can see the rocking chairs. We were down there. Little Flopsy or Peter, I don't know which one, was sitting, just hopped right up here on the porch, was eating the petals from the begonias that had fallen off the hanging baskets, just munching away. And then she just hopped on down and hopped down into this bed right here. So there you go, dear heavens. But Ascot Rainbow hanging in there like a champion. Gaillardia is another thing that they have completely left alone. I have multiple Gaillardias in here, so they are not touching those. Love these spin top series. Of course, my pollinators love it as well. As you would probably imagine, the milkweed. So I've got just the classic tuberoso milkweed. That too emits like this sap when you kind of cut it and chew on it, and so they have left that alone as well. We have got some Agastache back here that they have completely left alone. This is the annual from Proven Winners. Turns out it's a perennial for me, so they have left that one alone as well. So very good. As a side note, while we're talking about this, we're going to head back up to the chicken coop to share some things with you. I'm going to put a graphic at the end of this video of the rabbit buffet plants and the plants that they do not find appealing. But what I want you to do is, because iron sharpens iron, I want you in the comments below, if you deal with rabbits, right? So if you have rabbits in your garden, I want you to, what are they eating? And then what are they leaving alone? And if you don't mind, just kind of tell us where you are. Now, you don't have to give me like your address or anything. Just give us, I'm in North Carolina, zone 8A, right? Because that will, I think, help people, because It's so interesting. Rabbits are, I just see another plant that they've destroyed. Rabbits tend to be a little regional, right? And so their appetite can change from my garden to Mimi's garden to my neighbor's garden to your garden in Western Michigan, right? So put it in the comments below what they are eating. We're going to jump back forth right here because coming up the steps, my friend, I have, this is Treasure Trove Rudbeckia. Look. See, now explain this to me. The craziness of this. Absolute stems. Yeah, nothing. Hardly any leaves at all. And then you've got these beautiful plants right here. Exact same plants. I know they're floppy. That's not the point. But they eat this one. They leave that one alone. I don't understand it. It's just the craziest thing. So add that one to your rabbit buffet list. I'm telling you. Oh la la. Okay, so one that I do know is about as darn close to rabbit proof as we can get, Alliums. So I am leaning into some Alliums, let me tell you. So Alliums, of course, are those ornamental onions. This is serendipity right here. And because, again, as you know, with an onion, as soon as you crush it, you break it. It smells just like an onion. So, of course, we love serendipity, all the alliums, because they give us these beautiful flowers. Our pollinators absolutely love them, but the rabbits and the deer tend to stay away from it. Also, perennial geranium. There you go. Got another one for you. And then with that lavender back there, all working together, my friends. So, by no means is this like an all-inclusive list whatsoever. Like I said, I was working in the cottage garden a couple of, I don't know, I guess maybe it was last week I was in there, and it just hit me. I was like, consistently, they were eating these plants and they were hopping on past these plants. And I was like, this is what I need to know, because I don't think the rabbits are going to be going anywhere. Brenna, yes, we got a German Shepherd. Bless her heart, she is not a rabbit hunter. She, yeah, it's a struggle with that dog trying to get her. She will see them, but she's just not a hunter, right? She's a herder. She is not a hunter. So the dog's not really helping a whole lot with the rabbits. Considering they're hopping up on my porch while we're sitting there, not a good sign. So the rabbits aren't going to go anywhere. So I'm going to lean into the plants that they tend to leave alone. So that's why I was doing this, and I was like, okay, because come this fall, if I get my hands on some more alliums, you better believe I'm going to be planting alliums in that cottage garden and other places. This poor, Rudbeckia right here, good grief. Echinacea, maybe I'm not going to be planting a ton of echinacea back up here, because, especially in the other areas, because that's what they're just munching on. And maybe, if we're lucky, if they don't have the food that they really, really love, maybe they'll hop on and go somewhere else. I know that's probably a stretch. You'll probably find something else to chew on, but why provide the buffet when I can just go ahead and kind of like eliminate those plants, right? So again, I would love it if you would go ahead, put it in the comments. What are they eating in your garden? What are they leaving alone? Because that's so valuable for all of us together to learn from. This just reinforces the point that I always say about be a student of your own garden, because back in 2024, I did all the research. I was looking at the plant tags. What plants are widely accepted to be known as rabbit resistant? Well, you know what? In my garden, some of those held true and some of them did not. So this is why it's so important to go out and look in your garden, watch your garden. I am blessed beyond measure that I do not have a deer problem. I am just blessed with lots and lots of rabbits in my garden. It keeps me humble for sure, definitely. But that's why we need to go out and try to figure out what is happening, what is nibbling on my plants. Because at first, last year when I had some nibbling happen, I sent a picture and texted my sweet friend Tina, who deals with deer tremendously. And I was like, Tina, is this deer? And she was like, could be, but it turns out it was rabbits. So walking through your garden, seeing what do they like, what do they not like. If they love it, maybe don't buy any more of that. Let's go for those ones that tend to be more resistant. So my friends, there you go. That is the list of plants that the rabbits are having a field day eating the buffet, growing and multiplying like crazy, and then the ones that they are leaving alone. Now, I may be coming back to you this time next year and amending this list because the rabbits may give me yet another edit for this video. Time will tell for sure. But you know what? As I always say, if a plant dies or a plant becomes the salad buffet for a critter, it just gives me opportunity to include and add different plants to the garden, right? Death and destruction always leads to opportunities in the garden. You got to be positive about this because otherwise, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to lose your mind? You're going to stop gardening? I don't think so. We're just going to go with it. That's right. All right. Put those in those comments. I would love to hear your experience because coming up on fall, and fall is a great time to add perennials to your garden. So be thinking about that. Y'all have an amazing day. If you've not subscribed, we'd love for you to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and that way you don't miss this fun and interesting content that we put out 5 days a week. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.